So for our 3-string lanyard, we want 3 strings. One of them should be almost twice as long as the other 2, and that is going to be your center string. So I'm going to fold them all in half. I'm going to line up their halfway marks. The center one is going to go in one direction, the other 2 are going to go in the other direction. Now I want to make sure that my center string is on top of my other 2 strings. I'm going to put my thumb over it, in line with it, and I'm going to loop my other 2 strings and hold them in place. I'm going to take my center string and I'm going to go over and under again. And remember that I want the under part to be the part far away from the string. So I want the under part, so this is the end of this string, so I want the under part to be in the loop side. So it goes on that side. I'm going to grab my other string from over here. I'm going to go over and under twice. So I go over the first, under the second, over the first again, under the second. I double check that everything's in the loops. So if it's not, it's gonna fall apart as I go to pull. And I pull to tighten. So it's just like starting a 2-string lanyard, only I'm adding on extra strings. Now it's up to you if you want to loop the big string and do over and under twice with the side strings, or if you want to loop the side strings and go over and under with your center string. So I'll show you the first one first. If I loop my center string, once again, if you want to, you can use your thumb to hold them in place to help hold onto and maintain those loops, since there's very little to hold on to at the bottom. I'm going to go over and under with my pink, and once again I want to make sure it ends up in the loop or that it stays in on the same side. I go over and under with my other pink. Now I want to scoot over my thumb. I go over and under with my rainbow, and over and under with my rainbow. I want to make sure those have gone straight across. I don't want them to So now I have enough room to hold. I go over and under, and then over and under. Now you can really see how it ends up in the loop side instead of the string side. And now I'm going to do it on the other side. I'm going to go, oops. Hey you. Hello. I'm going to do it on the other side. I'm going to go over and under, and over and under, and pull tight. I now want to show you how to do a tornado stitch with my 3-string. It's the same as doing a circular stitch with my 2-string. So I'm gonna start with my longer strings, or my center strings. I'm gonna go across, I'm gonna go to the outside of their buddy strings. They form diagonals. So I'm forming my diagonals. I'm gonna take my side strings, I'm gonna go over and under. Once again, going to the opposite side. So instead of going straight across, like we did before, we're gonna go on diagonals. I'm gonna do the same thing with my second one. Same thing with my third one. So the one that's closest to me should end up farther away from me. And the one that's far away from me should end up close to me. And I'm gonna pull tight. I'm gonna repeat until I have a nice tornado. So I go across on the diagonal. So I can see it's starting to spiral. Unlike with the square stitch, when I did the circular stitch, in this case I make more of a tornado. There's an indent that will run all the way around. That makes it appear more like a tornado. The more strings you use, the greater that indent will be, as we'll see with our 4-string rectangle. So there are 2 ways to make a 4-string. We can either make a 4-string as a box or a rectangle. I'm going to be making mine as a rectangle this time, and then I'll show you how to make one as a box. So we are going to cut 3 strings the same length, and then we want our 4th string to be a little over twice as long as our first 3 strings. I'm going to fold all strings in half and overlap where they were in half. I want my long string in the center. I'm going to cover it with my thumb, just like I have in the past. And then I'm going to take my 3 side strings and I'm going to loop them over. Remember that remember that you have to do it to the right or left in the same order. So I did my pull towards me to the left and my push away to the right. So I have to do that each time. My pull towards is to the left, my push away is to the right, my pull towards is to the left, my push away is to the right. So now I have to go over and under 3 sets of strings. So over my first, under my second, and I still want to make sure that I end up on the loop side. Over my first, under my second, over my first, under my second. So now all of them are on the loop side. I'm going to push them over to the loop side of those strings. So here's the string side, that's the loop side. I want to make sure that it is in the loop side. Otherwise it won't stay. I'm going to grab my other one and I'm going to go over and under again. And those are going to end up on the loop side automatically. So I go over and under, pull through. Oops, don't want any of my ends of my other strings getting caught up in these. And I go over my string end, under my loop. I go over my string, under my loop, over my string, under my loop. And now I want to pull nice and tight. And now I have a bigger rectangle. So just like with the 3-string, I can either start with my side strings or my center strings. It's going to be the exact same thing as my 3-string, except I have more strings. So I'm going to go across. I'm going to use my thumb to help me. I'm going to make my loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to go over and under, over and under, over and under, and then over and under. The more strings you have, the more tangled it can become, so just be careful with it. And then I want to use my other end. I'm going to go over and under. Go over and under again, and then over and under a 3rd time. And now I'm going to pull tight. And I can repeat that if I just want to do it box style. If I want to do a tornado, I can do the same thing I did with my 3-string and go on the diagonal. And then go over and under. Whoops. Go on the diagonal, over and under. Diagonal, over and under. Over and under. And continue all the way across. Each time on the diagonal. I'm going to pull tight. And I can continue this, and you're going to see the difference in how much more of an indent we're going to see with this 4 than we saw with the 3. So you can see I have a greater indent along there because I have more strings. Just like with the circle stitch on the 2-string lanyard, we can throw in a normal square stitch to change direction. So if I throw in a normal square stitch instead of my tornado stitch, so I did my square stitch, and now as I continue my tornado stitch, it will switch directions. So I can see that it has switched directions and it is now twisting in the other direction. All right, so for a 4x4 square, I want to cut 4 strings all the same length. I'm going to fold them in half. And now I'm going to arrange them so there's 2 going in one direction and 2 going in the other direction. I want to line my thumbs up with the ones that are on top. And now I'm going to loop both strings from the other direction. And now I'm going to start with this yellow one. I'm going to start with this yellow one over here. So I want to start with one that can go over and under into my loop side. So I'm going to go over and under, and then over and under again. I'm going to do my other yellow. I'm going to go over and under twice. Now, because I started on this side with the first string, I have to make sure I start on this side with the second string as well. I'm going to go over and under, and push it over against the yellow so I have space for my last one. So I'm going to take over and under, and over and under again. I'm going to pull nice and tight, gently. Okay, that's good. I don't want to pull too tight or it's going to start curling. Now I have to go all the way through, always doing 2 sets of loops and 2 sets of over and under. So I'm going to make my first set of loops. I'm going to go with my first color. I'm going to go over and under, making sure that I stay in the same line. So over and under, over and under. Same thing going back the other way, making sure I stay in the same line or lane. Over and under, over and under. And now I'm going to do it with the rainbow one as well. Over and under, over and under. And now with my final one, I'm going to go over and under, and over and under. And I can pull tight. If I continue the square stitch, I will end up with a much larger square lanyard than the 2x2. And if I choose to do circular stitch, I will get I'll once again just get a larger circular shaped lanyard.